So we started off Advent talking about Mary and being pregnant with possibilities and having this joyous expectation about what is possible in our lives. And now that we're working on the year of I Am coming up in 2019, we're taking Mary's journey as our own journey, as stepping into something we are birthing in our lives. So first, yes, pregnant with possibilities, being open to what's possible and unlimited possibilities, those things that even we consciously are not aware of. But because we are grounded in source, in spirit, there is so much more that's at our fingertips and that is in our hearts and our minds than we could even devise ourselves. So we're staying open to spirit. We're in contemplation. We're in prayer. We're waiting for that impetus, that word, the one word that we're choosing for 2019, that's going to guide us forward. The next week, we talked about doubt. When the questions start to come up and we start to wonder, am I really doing what I'm called to do? Is this word that I've chosen the one for me? And we talked about what to do with doubt. To look it straight in the eye, to acknowledge that it's there, but then to remember who we are, that we are one in spirit. And then to look at it and to say, step aside doubt because I am advancing forward. Right? So we may not have an absence of fear and doubt, but we move forward anyway. And it's a matter of telling your doubt, your fears, who is the boss. Your divinity is the boss of the doubt and fear that comes up. And you just say, step aside, I am advancing forward in faith. So now, in week 3, we have faith. And I want us to talk about and consider faith as more than just something we believe in. Something that we call upon that helps us get through. Faith is so much more than something we call upon. Faith really is what sits within us, what is us. It needs to transform from something you believe in to something you are. So it goes beyond that. One of my favorite teachers, and he's a mystic, is Richard Rohr. And he founded the Center for Action and Contemplation. And this is what he says about contemplation. He says it is the highest expression of intellectual and spiritual life. It is that life itself, fully awake, fully active, fully aware that it is alive. It is spiritual wonder. It is spontaneous awe at the sacredness of life, of being. It is gratitude for life, for awareness and for being. It is a vivid realization of the fact that life and being in us proceed from an invisible, transcendent, and infinitely abundant source. So we're talking about faith as source. Contemplation is above all awareness of the reality of that source. It knows the source obscurely, inexplicably, but with a certitude that goes beyond both reason and beyond simple faith. So we're talking about a core, something that runs in, under, and through everything. Contemplation reaches out to the knowledge and even to the experience of the transcendent and inexpressible God. It knows God by seeming to touch Him. Or rather, it knows Him as if it has been invisibly touched by Him who has no hands, by who is pure reality and the source of all that is real. Isn't that beautiful? touched by him who has no hands. Hence, contemplation is a sudden gift of awareness, an awakening to the real within all that is real. A vivid awareness of the infinite being at the roots of our own limited being. An awareness of our contingent reality as received as a present from God, as a free gift of love. This is the existential contact of which we speak when we use the metaphor of being touched by God. Contemplation is also the response to a call. So this word that's coming up for you is a call from him who has no voice, and yet who speaks in everything that is, and who most of all speaks in the depths of our own being, for we ourselves are words of his. We ourselves are words of his. So you become the word. Remember, we're talking about being that word, transcending from having the word, thinking about the word, to being the word. But we are words that are meant to respond to him, to answer to him, to echo him, and even in some way to contain him and signify him. Contemplation is this echo. It is a deep resonance in the inmost center of our spirit, in which our very life loses its separate voice and resounds with the majesty and mercy of the hidden and living one. So we go away from separateness to this oneness that becomes this certitude that is us. We are certain because it is us. And you no longer think of a God out there who makes things happen, but that something comes through you, out of you, blossoms as you. So it's beyond, I believe in that. It's so much more than, yes, I know that to be true. It becomes, I am the truth. I am blank, whatever that word you've chosen. So for me, again, my word is inspiration. And so when I am in contemplation, when I am sitting in meditation and prayer throughout my day, inspiration becomes more than just how do I inspire people. I have to become inspiration. I have to be that breath that people feel, and it becomes an uplifting experience. It becomes real. So this takes work and action. And Richard Rohr and other spiritual teachers say we have to move from just the thinking to the doing. And to the allowing. And making something happen. It's not just enough to just pray. That doesn't really change anything. But if we do it without this inner transformation, that's when we tend to get lost. And we start doing things from the intellectual, from the head. We have to gather it all together so that we know where we're going and how we're going. And then you just step forward, like we talked about last week, in complete faith and knowing without thinking what is yours to do. What is ours to do? Every minute, every day, every week. And then the weeks become years. So faith isn't simple. It guides us. It walks with us. It becomes the path. Not just something out there to say, okay, make this happen for me. We are the happening. There is no outside. There is no one to call upon to do it for us. I wish it were that easy. but we become the expression. Like Richard Rohr said, we are the Word itself. So I thought about, as I was coming towards this talk, or this talk was coming towards me, which is actually what happens, about that Indiana Jones movie. And a lot of you have probably seen this scene in this movie and remember it because a lot of ministers use it. But it's so important. So let's watch this clip and then we'll go back through it. So we are Indiana Jones. And if you paid attention to him as he starts, he's got his guidebook. That's a still, small voice that speaks to us all the time. And he kept moving. You see him push away the cobwebs. That's doubt and fear, the things that get in our way, the distractions that want to tell us that there's something else to do other than what we're guided to do. And what does he do? He keeps walking. And you can still see the fear in his face, the doubt, and he keeps walking. And he keeps figuring it out. He goes back to the guidebook, which is spirit. So contemplation is our guidebook. When we get that information that we need, and he stays there. And yes, sometimes we stumble. Your foot goes through the floor. And you dust yourself off. And he figured it out. He rewrited himself and kept moving. And then we get to that ultimate space where there's nothing but abyss. Right? When we come to that moment, when we don't know, we're not sure, and he's standing there and he's like, okay, how do I do this? The guidebook said, go. But if you look at him, he starts to look around. Is this for real? And then what did he do?
Leap of faith.
A leap of faith. He said this takes a leap of faith. He put his hand on his heart. He took a deep breath. He closed his eyes. He went within. And did you see him calm down? And then he stepped. And the universe rose up to meet him. And he took one step, looked around. Oh my gosh, remember we talked about that last week? And you say, this is happening. Wow. And then you take another step, and something rises up to meet you, and again there's that, oh, okay. This is how life goes. When I step out, something rises to meet me. Always. Even when you can't see beneath it, around it, or behind you, and it doesn't make sense. And then finally, that road just appeared before him, and he ran across the abyss. He said, okay, I got this. He put the guidebook in his pocket and walked. So that's the transformation from, all right, I believe in this, got the signs, pushing back the cobwebs, to, I've got this. This is me. This is the path. This is my walk. I'm moving forward. I've got this. Because I am this. I am this. And you have that certainty that this is your journey, this is your path, and I am doing this. I am this. So that word will become more than something you chose, it becomes you. But we got to take the step. We got to let the universe meet us. Universe, Spirit, God, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter what you call it. It will rise to meet you. And give you a firm foundation. And it may be a step at a time. Step here. Got this. Don't see another step. But you still have the guidebook. You still have that certainty. So you step again. It rises to meet you. Not everything became solid around him, only what was underneath him. That's important. So everything as you look around may still look like it did before you became that word. Remember, up until now? Up until now, I was afraid to do this. Up until now, I was unwilling to take the step. Up until now, I wasn't sure that I was called to be inspiration. And everything out here may still look empty and may not give you affirmation, but what's in here and what's under you, what's supporting you, is saying it out loud, is bringing it inside of you to say, go, go. And then you're in that yes, feeling, that yes experience. Yes, I'm stepping forward. Yes, I've got this. Yes, this is me. Put the guidebook in your pocket. Yes, 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 yes. That's when faith becomes real and becomes you and becomes that transcendent feeling, that sacredness that's all around you. And suddenly, more than just the word is resonating through you. You are the word. The one word you chose, and word with a W, which is spirit. And then you will look at everything in your life as sacred. Everything. Everything. So many of you know that my mother-in-law passed away Tuesday morning. And Monday night, when my husband and I and my father-in-law were with her in her last hours, I knew in the moment when it was most difficult for her and she was transitioning that it was sacred. When I had to step out of the room because I was trying to get my heart embraced around what was happening, I knew it was sacred, even as my heart was breaking. You will know in every moment of your life, in the days when you're in inexpressible joy and in inexpressible sadness, that this is sacred. And I remember when she was in those moments, and there was a moment when she was pleading for God to take her. And the three of us who were holding her were just in that moment with her. That there was God in her, through us in that room. And we all walked forward. I believe as she was transitioning, we were also transitioning into something we were called to be in those moments. You know, it felt like time slowed down. And so if we're open to every single moment being sacred, it is. If you will just pause and take a breath in everything that you're called to do, whether it's heartbreaking or awe-inspiring or making you laugh with joy or cry with joy. I often cry with joy. Then you'll know that that is the real faith. That you moved away from, oh yeah, I believe in that. I believe God is present in all things. But man, when you're in the hairy stuff, yeah, when you're deep in the weeds, when life is big and real and all over you, and you're trying to push those cobwebs back and walk forward, wondering what am I called to do right here, you'll know. If you'll just take a breath in that moment and say, this is God right here. All of it. So let your faith become something more. Let it become all, not just more, but all, everything. Every breath that you take, every time that you look at someone, let the faith that you are be evident to them. Without you having to express the word. I be the Word, like Richard Rohr said. We are the Word, the inexpressible. And that's when you know that it's here, that you are in that sacredness, because you won't have to utter a word. You'll be it.